It is a beautiful Friday morning, the 30th of June. Lomhla extends kwamukeleke Kusile breakfast show. I'm not alone. As usual, I'm with the lovely Lungelele Makakula. Let me greet you today. Thomben, kunjani?
Good Pilile, how are you this morning?
Wambatha kangaka emajazi nepoloneke imakhathi yawas noma usaba lomkhuhlane.
Angifuna umkhuhlane so basicela ukuthi asiphe peace, so rather be safe than sorry.
Thank you. That's a good message even for all Eswatini SACU in Pilasonfo. It's been very cold mornings. My temperatures are like 5, 4 na 6. Bantu labanengi siyabakhuthata ukuthi abambathe betempilo basikhuthatile ngalesithathu ukuthi lo mkhuhlane lokhona vele mubi but nje bantu nabaqhubeka batinaka kude lokunganani lokungendeka, so be warm just like Lungelele. It is a beautiful Friday. Sibonile ke esukwini la itolo Lungelele MTN PLE Awards. It was a delightful day for Green Mamba as their head coach win coach of the season kanzi the player of the season qhamke nakulo lona lelo qembu lelo. Felix Badenhorst lo win top goal scorer. Tinza batonga let's start ikhulumisa with Fabrice Msonera, who's going to join us today to give us a highlight of the overall season as well as the awards. Ekseni, did the players that won really deserve those awards according to him as a pundit? I'm calling him a pundit because he is at the end of the day an analyst and a good one at that. Moving on to the next season, what are his expectations? Fabrice Msonera will join us later on the show.
All right, we'll also be joined by Communications Director from the Eswatini Revenue Service, Vusi Dlamini. Dokumela ukuthi besihlala siba nabo njalo ngabo lesihlanu but asikhulumisa nje ngetindzaba temithelo tekubhadalwa kwemithelo sesitaba nabo ke for the rest of the year, but asikhulumisa tona tindzaba temithelo this morning. Silabe sikhulumisana nabo nge-provisional tax over ukuthi what is a provisional tax, who should pay it, how is it calculated, when is it due. So I think ukuthi provisional taxpayer becomes liable to pay a penalty if the estimate for taxable income for the second payment of provisional tax is found to be both less than 90%. At 6:30. Do stay with us.
Yeah, logo sibahlole at market. Singaka at market. Lungelele, I almost forgot.
Yeah.
Tafuna ukuthi sibuke ne paper run. Sibuke nje ihloko lethamba embili emaphephandabeni lomuhla ekuseni.
Welcome back. And kulethamba imbili ku Times of Eswatini. Indzaba lehamba imbili MPs sicala ngema headlines at Times of Eswatini. MPs start elections registration afresh. Kanti indzaba lenye lehamba imbili lapha SACU records highest ever receipts in King's tenure. Lenye lehamba imbili patients leave sick beds to join petition delivery, and also jilted man brutally hacks kills baby mama. Kanti midlalo khona ku Times of Eswatini, over 15,000 emalangeni cut from Kondo, Ernest and Fela. Kutange phandle ke Man United sign Mount from Chelsea, and also lenye lamba imbili ku back page Wesleyans release Gudas and 6 others. Kanti lethamba imbili ku Eswatini Observer, King calls for seamless borders for SACU. Indzaba ke lenye leyo lehamba imbili kuyo liphephandaba Eswatini Observer. Lenye lehamba imbili page 20, Eswatini Bank records 14.6 million amalangeni profit, and also on page 6 patients join healthcare workers march. Also on page 6 there's nothing to be afraid of ngekusho kwa Alpheus. Kuma sports news, Wanda ends Samba Jive, and also on page 37, making headlines on Gutemidlalo, Dominic recalls Baraba. Kanti lenye lehamba embili ngiyo ya Wanda's ends Samba Jive. Veteran winger retires after 20-year illustrious career at 42 years old. Kulethi hamba embili Eswatini Daily News, King applauds significant SACU boon for all members. Kanti lenye lehamba embili lephuma ngaphandle kwakuleli essay to host BRICS summit despite Putin arrest warrant. Lenye hamba embili voters roll validation concerns will be sorted ngekusho kwa Minister of Justice. And lastly, temidlalo Eswatini Daily News, 7 wondrous players axed. And also Tumangaphandle Kakuleli Djokovic aiming to silence young guns. And on page 10, excuse me, Yaga Kosafa Cup, we are in the toughest Kosafa Cup group. Asike ngulete kulethamba imbili kumaphephandaba ethu lomhla ekseni. Let's take a break nasibuya sibene tindzaba lapha ekhaya. Asibinze sinimukele siyakuvusela nawe losanza kuzivulela asibuke natiti indzaba. Sihlalo inhlangano yemave kwabelana umthelo wasemahekeni Southern African Customs Union selenkosi Mswati wesithathu sithe emave langephansi kwale nhlangano kufanele akabukete tingcinamba labhekene nato ukuthi atfole likhambi lekuthi icatululwa. Ingwenyama iphefumule ngesikhathi ivulanga lokusemthethweni umhlangano wesiphohlongo wale nhlangano wabaholi kanye nabahulumende eMandvulo Grand Hall kaLuzitha. Isilo semhlaba siphefumule ngetinguquko letinhle letibe khona kule nhlangano kusukela live leSwatini lathatha isigaba sokuba ngusihlalo wayo. Kulo mcimbi ingwenyama beyisingethwe bomake emakhosikazi kanye nabantu abenkosi.
Silo semhlaba ingwenyama yemaswati sihlanganyelene baholi bemave langemalunga alenhlangano yekwabelana umthelo wasemahekeni ngesikhathi kubuketwa indlela letihlolisisiwe tekufeza luhlaka loluqukethe inyathelo tekuthuthukisa lenhlangano lolwakha umvila lenhlangano itawulandzela kule minyaka lesihlanu lelandzelako. Loluhlaka luqukethe insika letisithupha letakhiwe esikhatsini lesibucayi lapho khona umhlaba wenta taba tekubuyisa umnotho esimeni ngemva kokuthi ukhinyabedwe ngomkhuhlane i-COVID-19. Loluhlaka lihlose ukuthuthukisa sifundza SACU kube ngileso lesicinile elihlangothini lwemafema nemisebenti lemikhulu sikhange bahlanyela imali sikhiphe imikhicito lesezingeni eliphakeme siphindze njalo sicine nakutebucubungula. Baholi labangenele kuvulwa kwalomhlangano kube ngumengameli waseNingizimu Afrika Cyril Ramaphosa, mvunankulu welive laseLesotho Sam Maketane, mvunankulu waseNamibia Sarah Kukongelwa alibekamele mengameli Hage Geingob, indvuna itekuthengisela na-Ivan leBotswana Musi Khafela lebeyimelele mengameli Mogwesi Masisi namapalana lomkhulu kule nhlangano Thabo Khasipe. Imbube emhlaba ithi kube netinguquko letinhle kule nhlangano kusukela live leSwatini lathatha kuba ngusihlalo wayo njengoba ikhulile nenzuzo letfolwe ngemave.
The importance of SACU cannot be overemphasized as it plays a major role in development of our respective countries. We are pleased that we are here. We are currently experiencing positive developments in the collection of SACU receipts, which will contribute immensely to the social and economic development of our countries. As Eswatini, we are happy that during our chairmanship, all member states realized a windfall in our SACU receipts. We need to maintain these positive results and standards to increase the returns even more. The country's receipts increased by a significant share of 102% when compared to the previous year. It is the first time seeing such high returns. Contributing to this positive growth was the higher than projected outturn of the 2021-22 common revenue pool, together with the 25% increase in the projected size of the CRP for 2023-24 compared to 2022 to 2023 financial year.
Ingwenyama inike emave langemalunga kule nhlangano insaye ekusebenza ngebunya langemigomo munye kude ikhule le nhlangano.
Your Excellencies, we are here to deliberate on key issues concerning SACU with a view to providing the necessary political and strategic guidance to our institution. We have seen this organization grow from strength to strength, moving in the right direction. As members, we have an obligation to nurture this child of ours, and where there are challenges, we need to sit down and find amicable solutions. This is particularly important at this time as SACU works on the implementation of its recently approved strategic plan 2022-2027 in the midst of the recent global developments which are having a significant impact on our economies.
Mengameli waseNingizimu Afrika Cyril Ramaphosa uthi inhlangano yakaSACU kufanele ikhule igcinise ifaka isandla ekuthuthukeni kwetekuthengiselana evekatini le-Afrika.
This customs union should contribute to substantially increase African trade in goods and services. We will achieve this if we have clearly articulated programs, clearly articulated initiatives, if we have and utilize our resources, and we have a robust governance framework and a commitment to execute our strategic plan. And I do think we can live up to this if, as SACU, we continue to serve as an important instrument for deepening African economic integration as we strive to develop our economies, as well as to advance mutual prosperity and leave no one behind in our region.
Wethule inkulumo namabhalane lomkhulu kule nhlangano Thabo Hasipe lothi noma bekhona dihibe kodwa ibekhona nenqubekela phambili ehlakeni lokuthuthukisa kusebenta kwayo le nhlangano.
The objective of this 8th summit is to receive a report from the Council of Ministers on the progress attained towards the implementation of the SACU strategic plan, which was approved by the Council and endorsed by the summit in June 2022. You will recall that the strategic plan prioritizes industrialization as SACU's overarching objective, which will be attained through the development of regional value chains, investment attraction and export promotion.
Ngesikhathi uvula lo mhlangano ingwenyama yeMaswati idumisela ibandla labomengameli belivekati le-Afrika nebeliholwa ngumengameli Cyril Ramaphosa lelibonane namengameli wase-Russia namengameli wase-Ukraine kodwa makuthola likhambi kule simo lesikhona kulamave lamabili. Silo semhlaba sithi baholi benhlangano yakaSACU basesekela lesento nekuthi-ke banelethemba lokuthi litawutholakala likhambi kulembi lechubekako kulamave lamabili. Lobika kwethu indzabeni ngisandile Makhanya eManvulo Grand Hall kaLozitha.
Livele Lesotho litawuthatha sihlalo senhlangano yamave ekwabelana umthelo wasemahekeni iSouthern African Customs Union mhla til-15 enyangeni yenhlaba eminyakeni lodulu. Lokhu kuvakale ngesikhathi isilingo somthathu wesithathu uzivala ngalokusemthethweni umhlangano wesiphohlongo walenhlangano eManvulo Grand Hall kaLozitha.
Ingonyama ithi lo mhlangano ube imphumelelo lenkhulu njengoba baholi babenetinkhulumo lebetiphathelene nethuthuko yayo etinhlangothini letahlukahlukene.
We've had a very interesting program. I want to thank their excellencies and all the delegates who are here to participate in this very important summit. We've had a very fruitful discussions. And we've actually shaped the structure for the SACU. We've given the right direction. And a lot of our people who are living within our member states are looking all of us in this room and they've put their faith on our shoulders. That we need to make their life much, much better. And with the discussions we've had here, we covered a lot of things. We looked at things for the economy, how we can structure ourselves, position ourselves in a much better structure as a SACU. We look at how we continue to develop from leaps and bounds, attracting all sorts of investment in agriculture, in manufacturing, in ICT. We looked at promoting peace and stability within the SACU family. There have been a lot of things that we have touched upon. So I want to thank their excellencies, their contribution, because it's very important.
Silose Mhlaba sithi umhlangano lulandzelako utawubanjelwa eveni laseLesotho ngenhlaba eminyakeni lotako. Lona-ke livele Lesotho litawuthatha ematomo yokuba ngusihlalo kule nhlangano eveni leSwatini ngenyanga letako eminyakeni losetulu. Mvunankhulu Sam Maketane uthile live likulungele ukuthatha le nhlangano liyibeke emphumelelweni lekhosako. Lubeka kwethu indzabeni ngisandile Makhanya eMandulo Grand Hall kaLozitha.
Emalunga eParliamente sekancome ukuthi libandla lelikhetfo nemincele libuyise ticebhezana tekuvota phindzele nabize tindzawo tekuhlola luhlalwa labo lababhalisele likhetfo. Emalunga abekakhuluma eParliamente ngesikhatsi indvuna yelitiko letemtsetfo nemtsetfosisekelo Pholile Shakhantu etfola indlu yabayesikhulu umbiko walelitiko ngelikhetfo.
Indvuna yetemtsetfo nemtsetfosisekelo Pholile Shakhantu seyetfulele indlu yabayesikhulu umbiko walelitiko kuthi lukhetfo lelive luhamba njani kuletigaba letahlukene njengoba kulesikhathi samanje kuchubeka sona sigaba sekuhlola luhlala labo lababhalisele likhetfo. Emalunga vete tikhalo tawo ngaletigaba letahlukene asayancoma.
Ngabe vele ukubuka kukahle ibhisilo ukuthi ngalinye laleliswati lelibhalisile alititelelo lamathupha lokudoti ihlola. Umbuto ke uthi bangete bathumela yini.
This is a sign of technology in action. Uthi utawukhanza sekule. But sayini ke nasufika le awusekho. Sekude nalo lofuna kukusita sikwende njani?
Ngibani lo tsite akushintshe kulendlela besenda ngayo idolo. Kubuyisele kunayilesha yetincingo. Mr Speaker, le level sengakabi advanced kangako.
I-date sola akashintshi yama nomination. Uthi imhla 22. So letinkinga letindodla netindodla tetinkinga iyasondzela le date.
Indvuna imukele tona tincomo tendlu yaveta kutsi litiko vele lide endlini nalombiko njengoba lifuna kona kuvunuliswa indlu kute lo msebenzi welive uhambe kahle.
Libandla vele lingiphathise loko speaker ngoba njengoba ngishito ukuthi lona ngumsebenzi welive and asibuyeli emuva, we are still progressing. Yebo kona kukhona labangaveli, but that is the whole purpose of the exercise ye validation ikona isemthethweni. Lenganiketa ethologcina kuko honorable speaker ukuthi as much as labanye bangaveli kule voters roll kepha labantu bakhona kule electoral management system.
Indlu ke ibese icela indvuna ukuthi iphindze ibuye endlini tawuniketa sithombe natvologcina kuso sive ukuthi letinkinga letikhona letiphathelene nalo likhetfo titawulungiseka kuti likhetfo lelive luhambe kahle kubade umsindvo. Etindzabeni yeSwatini TV kubika samkeliswe khoza ngasikhumbuzo Dlamini namuzi Mkhonta eParliamente.
Imvuna yelitiko letisebenti Phela Buthelezi ithi buhle betikolo temakhono ukuthi bafundzi baceceshwa ngendlela yokuthi bangakhona kucala emabhizinisi batimele kunekuthi bafune ukucashwa. Imvuna bekhuluma emcimbini wokuphothula esikoleni semakhono inhlangano Vocational Training and Rehabilitation Center.
Bangemashumi lasithupha nesihlanu bafundzile sebaphothulile esikoleni semakhono inhlangano Vocational Training and Rehabilitation Center. Liningi lalabafundzi ngulabo labakhubatekile. Indvuna yelitiko letisebenti Phela Buthelezi seyikhulume ngebumcoka betifundvo temakhono.
Kumbe kufundziseka kwabantwana bamaSwati esikhatsini lesiningi kuba kufundziseleke ukuthi bayuqashwa kunakuthi basebenze. So imisebenzi ke lefana nalena le yenziwa la ekhaya kuleli college letemakhono etiko kuzama kukhicita emaswati le ngeke kumbe nasaphothulile agcine ngekufuna umsebenzi nemaswathi letawukhona ukuthi atakhele wona umsebenzi kube sangaze aqashe nalamanye aphindze kube nendlela yokuthi afundzise nalamanye yona le misebenzi kuzama ukwehlisa lezinga lekungaqasheki kwaso sibe sengwenyanga. So umsebenzi nje lebesihlangene ngawo namhla umcwa kakhulu ukhuthata nakulabanye ekutheni asingabuki ukusebenzela kuyoqashwa asiyibuke imisebenzi lesingayenda ngetanga namakhono ethu lesinawo kuzama ukutiphilisa. Lele baphothulile nje namhla la nabaphuma kukhona imisebenzi abangasuka bayoyenda emakhaya. So siyakholwa ukuthi nesifundza lamakhono lebawakhonile ukuthi baphume nawo namhla batawuhamba bawasebenzise bakhona nekuwahlephula labanye etindzaweni lebakhekile.
Umphathi walesikolo waphinda sihlongonyane sawuvete tikhala letisesekhona ekucecesheni bafundzi ngetemakhono.
Ama-challenges lakhona uyukhanze ukuthi kumbe sesiba nema-shortage yabo training material enzaba yokuthi la umsebenzi wakhona mostly ku-practical. So kakhulu kuba ngile training material nekuthi-ke kumbe labanye bafundzi bethu nasebacedzile bangakhoni lokuthi babe naletinsita lengathi kumbe ma-startup kits letinsita letingakhona ukuthi kumbe bakhone kutisebenta yena.
Lesikolo semakhono sinetifundvo letifake ekhatsi ingqondvomshina, kubata, kutfunga, kubala kulokunye. Lobika-ke Ndzabeni yeSwatini TV nguThando Kuhle Mdluli ngisenhlangano.
Sihlalo welibandla le-delegate for nemincele umphanenkosi emhlabuhlangeni uthi isigaba sekuhlola luhlalo labo lababhalisele ukhetho lusohamba kahle netikhalo tesive ehambisana ngcono emgomo walokuhlola loluhla. Umphanenkosi emhlabuhlangeni bekakhuluma ngesikhathi ethula umbiko ukuthi lesigaba sekuhlola luhla sihamba njani.
Libandla letelukhetfo nemincele yetinkundla i-Elections and Boundaries Commission EBC mhla tingamashumi kule nyanga lesetulu licale lihlelo lokuhlola luhla lwesive lesibhalisele lukhetfo. Akhuluma emhlanganweni nebetindzaba ngalesithathu ebusuku sihlalo walelibandla umphanenkosi emhlabuhlangene Dlamini uthi lesigaba sekuhlola loluhla sisahamba kahle siva singaphaphuleki letikhalo tesive kufaka ekhatsi ukuthi kunemabito langaveli kuloluhla ngilokugadzekile vele tihambisana nemigomo yokuhlola loluhla.
Sisasesigabeni sokuqala soluhla lokuqala lesilivetile lokungasho ukuthi sengilona lokugcina vele leli lokho ukuthi kuve kuqala edelwa kiko kusatawuba netigaba letahlukene letitawufaka lokho kucondziseka kwalapho kumhlambe bekutabe kukhona lokusilele noma lokonakele lokungakaveli ngendlela yakhona. Kubhekekile ke ukuthi vele bekungeke phela konke kulunge langa linye ngasikhathi sinye. Akusiko lokubhekane nathi sodwa silive kungiyona ngcubo nje lekhona elukhethweni etingethweni tonke. Sikuleso kwesigaba ukuthi ke sithi ke asinikethe siqiniseke emaswadini ukuthi kude lokonakele futhi kude lokusuke kuhamba kabi nangabe kukhona la ukukhanzakala ukuthi kukhona lokungakaveli kumbe bowuthi ubhalisile utikhanza awuveli nawusowuya le noma ukhanza ukuthi luhla lakho lolibhaliso alikacondzana lisiko lokhu lekungiko kona lesigaba lesikiso saloko vele ukuthi sibambisane nesive iBC ayedwa akakwendi lokuhlakula ayedwa ngoba naye usitwa ukuthi sive siphume ngetinkani.
Lesigaba sekuhlola loluhla kubheka ukuthi sephethe mhla 12 enyangeni letako bese kulandela sona sigaba sekuncoma mhla 22 kuyo inyanga letako. Etindzabeni yeSwatini TV kubika Samkeliswe Khoza kusenkanini.
Kutemidlalo umqeqeshi welikhethelo lesive esihlangu semnikati Dominic Kunene uthi kusifiso sakhe kanye nebadlali kuthi lelikhethelo ligcine likhonile kwakha umlando wekufika kumancamu endzebe yeKhosafa yalonyaka. Kunene bekakhuluma ngesikhathi lelikhethelo lichubeka nemalungiselelo kalobamba.
Likhethelo lesive esihlangu semnikati sichubeka nemalungiselelo endzebe yeKhosafa yalonyaka lekubhekeke ukuthi icale kule nyanga letako. umqeqeshi waleli khethelo Dominic Kunene uthi kusifiso sabo balicembu ukuthi bagcine bakhonile kufika kumanqamu alenzebe.
Ngithi imcoka kakhulu because nawubuka iperformance yethu kule tournament kubita lokho ukuthi sende kangcono because saphuma kuma semi kumakota uyabo siproduceile bo man of the match sine top goal scorer so kukuyi pressure kwakhona lokho kubita ukuthi sifike sisebente kamadima kule tournament.
Badlali baleli cembu Philani Mkhondo kanye naNozindlo ofike kuleli cembu kuleli viki isandanezwe eMathabela nabo bavuma ukuthi babadlali babuke kwakha umlando.
Ngiyabelieve ukuthi after lama bad result leswatfolile ku ama qualification AFCON so kumele siyothi redeem le khosafa so ngiyapromise ukuthi sitaspana smachit.
Kuyi challenge kithi because sike safika kuma semi-finals nase PE but ke game I think the players are ready, they can do it. Kukubo nje ukuthi ba lift the spirit from le defeat lababuya kuyo ku talk. Otherwise they can do it. Abakwende PE basengakwende Japan.
Lenze bita uqala mhla ka5 kuya ku16 enyangeni letawo eveni laseningizimu Afrika edolobheni laseDurban. Kanzi ke sihlangu singaphansi kwa Group A kanye ke neningizimu Afrika iNamibia kanye ke neBotswana. Enisabeni ngengiyani Msibina Fabrice Msonera Galobamba.
Ngaleto temidlalo siphethe lapho indzaba yethu lomhla ekseni ngu27 minutes after 6 tabahlalo market nasibuya sidabe sikhulumisana navusi Dlamini losuka ka ERS sikhuluma ngeprovisional tax asenshini simo setulu. Welcome back, Sakuvusela nawe losonza ukusivulela as we had mentioned earlier ukuthi sitabe sikhulumisana na Communications Director losuka Eswatini Revenue Service takumele ukuthi besihlale siba nabo njalo ngalabesihlanu basitekela kabanti njengetindzaba tekubhadalwa kwemthelo sebabuyile kusaba nabo nje kuze kushaya inyanga yengongoni December kulomnyaka losetulu sabe nje sikhuluma nje sibuka kabanti nje ngato tindzaba temthelo njalo njengabo lesihlanu ukuthi abanetihloko letihlukahlukene elabatasineketa dona sibukete kabanti engabo umthelo lokubhadalwa sive samasata mhla ke sikhuluma ngeprovisional tax naye lapha vusi Dlamini kuva ukuthi ngabe yini vele provisional tax ngibani lo ibhadalako nokuva ukuthi ngabe siyicalculator kanjani vele yona iprovisional tax. Nkosi asikuvusele sikumukele futhi welcome back.
Thank you very much. Siyabonga ukuthi sesiphinda sibuyile.
Alright, ngoba mhlawumbe singakangeni nje ke provisional tax I think kungaba kuva nje lokuthi ingabe kahle kahle vele lomgomo noma ke policy tax policy ithini kahle kahle sathi lokho ukuthi vele inkampani tibheke ukuthi tibhadale i-rates lelinganiselo ku 27.5% wawo umthelo kuma nje kusineta nje sitromise ukuthi vele uthini lomgomo wokubhadalwa kwe tax event.
Asibonga Lulu. Yes, kusho ukuthi ngidawuthi uma sikhulumela kubhadalwa komthelo ngoba lelo sikhuluma ngawo lamhla ngomthelo we-income tax ngicabanga ukuthi sowuthinzile ngokuthi kune migomo tsite ke noma ke kunema rates tsite ekubhadala. So bekusile ke ukuthi nangabe kusho ukuthi inkampani lele sikhuluma ngayo uthi lo mgomo kuba ngu27.5%. Now, CIS is 27.5% of what we call the taxable income. Labanye ke batakubekisa ngekuthi ngileyo profit sekuthi nje indlela mhlawumbe lokubalwa ngayo utawukhanza ukuthi kukhona kwehluka kancane kubalwa kwaleyo profit leta ugcine ibhadala umthelo kunekubala mhlawumbe leyo profit ye business batawathi ke bosoma business kuye kube netinto letivumeleka ukuthi bangati deducta kube netinto letingakavumeleki lokho ke bese kubabeka esigabeni sekuthi nabatawubhadala lo mthelo bawubhadale purely on what they have made as profit. So naku lokumqoka lesifuna ukugcizelela luhlangothi lwesibili ke kuyaye kube ngilawo mabhizinisi lokhanza ukuthi akakabhaliswa njengetinkampani abhaliswe njengema sole traders. I-sole trader ke ibhizinisi lengahlukaniswa kuwe lokusho ukuthi nangabe unaleso sitolo sakho ngiyabekisa ungilulu unaleso sitolo sakho leso sitolo now sibhalise as a sole trade asehlukaniswa kuwe kusho ukuthi wena indlela lobhadala ngayo umthelo la ucashwe khona kaSwazi TV iyafana nendlela mhlawumbe leyo business yakho le sole trade leta ubhadala ngayo umthelo kuyaye bese ke kubuyelwa kulama rates la uyisebenzisa yona lawo ma rates lesithi pay as you earn badawati ke asukela ku 20% ayi ku 33%.
Okay, ngiyavakala ngoso namhla sizokhuluma ngale provisional tax ngoba sathi ukuthi there's different types of taxes lesobhadala nje esidinkampani kanye neservice amaSwati. So sifuna ukuvula ukuthi kahle kahle yini le provisional tax yona, who is eligible to pay leyo tax lay?
Yes, I provisional tax ngidawuthi akusiko necessarily ukuthi ngumthelo per se, it's a way of paying noma ke of providing njengoba uliva leligama it's provisional tax, so you are providing for income tax. Usikhulume earlier ngokuthi income tax ibanga 27.5% for companies, lokusho ukuthi nasithi we are provider uyabekela basically ngokuthi by the time kufika isikhathi sekuthi lo mthelo ube so ubhadala so ucetsela ilenenye yale mali so vele uyibhadele, and then that is why it is called provisional tax. It's not necessarily a new tax or a specific tax. It's a provision for the tax that you are supposed to pay at the end of the year. Mhlawumbe umuntu angaphinze athi so that this thing is it's even clearer. Ngiphinze ngibuyele ngibekise endzabeni ye pay as you earn, as it were, nayo nasingayibuka ngendlela mhlawumbe le cishe ifanane nalokho kuyafana nakhona ukuthi uya provider noma uyabekela ngoba I provisional tax I pay as you earn uyibhadala based on your annual salary. So if your annual salary asengibekise 100,000 ngibekise ngithi I pay as you earn lokufuna uyibhadale ngeminyaka ngithi mhlawumbe bekungaba ngi12,000 kusho ukuthi uyayibhadale njalo ngenyanga ne provisional tax ke it's a similar arrangement.
Yeah, speaking of lokubhadala ngenyanga Nkosi njengoba ushude nje ukuthi uyabekela each month, ingabe bese ni calculate kanjani nje mhlambe nibuke ama profits ale business le, how is it then calculated le provisional tax?
Ngathi as nakhona lapho sitakuhlukanisa kabili. Kwecala sitawubuka inkampani mhlawumbe ke noma ke leyo business levele I exista lokusho ukuthi naseminyakeni lophelile beyikhona exista. Nangabe kusho ukuthi beyikhona eminyakeni lophelile isebenta yawubhadala umthelo, kuyaye kubhekeke ukuthi lama estimates siyawenda siwende based on ukuthi eminyakeni lophelile iyakhe imali lenganani noma ke ibhadale umthelo longanani. Kusho ukuthi sibuka lokho sithi sibheke ukuthi I provisional tax lokufanele uyibhadale ingabe ngephasi kwalelo ibhadele kulomnyaka lophelile. Uyaye uthi naso uthola lelo form ke noma ke naso utibalela nawe ngoba phela na urun business uyabuka ukuthi na ubuka wena utawakha imali lenganani. Nangabe kusho ukuthi leyo mali lesibuka ukuthi neyeminyaka lophelile na ubuka wena mhlawumbe business yakho indlondlobele utawubhadala lengedulu. Uyaye bese uyadibalela kusho ukuthi itawuba ngedulu lena ubala ke ngokuthi njengoba sisho ukuthi uyabekela kubekelwa ngidawuthi kabili. Ndele sikhuluma ngayo lamuhla ngilelebekela ngidawuthi ngilebekela kwekugcina kusho ukuthi uthatha nangabe beku 100,000 umthelo lokufanele ubhadale kusho ukuthi 50,000 ubhadala ngaDecember bese kuthi 50,000 lomunye utawubhadala ngaJune.
Okay, so awukhona ukubhadala lump sum nje ukuthi mhlawumbe mina ngifuna nje uyikhokha ngo 100,000.
That you would have to do now if ukona, but I'll just imagine as a business person you don't want to take money and store it somewhere. If you can do it, it's allowed, but ngicabanga ukuthi lokumcoka ukuthi nakuphela June nakuphela December ngoba I-provisional tax icalwa ngaDecember le installment ya June yesibili ngoba seyiya ekupheleni kweminyaka leyo. Now nakuphela December sibheke ukuthi uyibhadale le installment yekucala, kepha ke nangabe ufise ukuthi wena uyibhadale yonke nale ya June ungayibhadala ngaleso sikhathi, so it's up to businesses kwenda kanjalo.
Okay, Nkosi sichazele nge-third payment ngoba sosho nje ukuthi I-provisional tax ibhadala kabili ngeminyaka, so ingabe kusuke sekunjani ke naso khanze ukuthi mhlambe leyo nkampani leyo noma suma business so khanze sobhadala a third payment.
Okay, this is what happens. Njengoba sisho ukuthi ngaDecember ubhadala iprovisional tax yekucala. Lokusho ukuthi ihafu yeminyaka njengoba sathi umnyaka uqala ngaJuly lokusiya kuJuly nje uyaqala unyaka womthelo. So ngaDecember ubhadala installment yekucala ngaJune njengoba sithi lamhla I think 30 June. So ubhadala ke installment yakho yesibili. Ngibekise kanje ngithi ngibekise nga100,000 ukuthi bekufanele ubhadale 100,000 nakuphela December. I mean nakuphela umnyaka wonke. So nga December ubhadale 50, mhla ka 30 June which is today ubhadala lomnye 50. Then what you then do njengoba siya esimemetele, you then go and do your books wende ke ema financials akho u reconcile konke uhlanganise konke wende ema submissions ema income tax returns akho. Now ucetha ke kwenda lokho ngila utawubona khona ukuthi vele lokubo projectile kungiko yini. Nangabe kusho ukuthi kungetulu kwaloku lobo projectile, it means the third installment will then be the balance. Ngibekise ukuthi ube su discover ukuthi iprojection yakho ibese ikutshela ukuthi ibusiness yakho ifanele ibhadala umthelo lo 110,000 kan wena bo cabanga 100. So the last installment will then be that 100,000, that 10,000. But nangabe kwendekile wakhanza ukuthi le projection yakho ibese iba ngephasi le performance yakho ngibekise ubese wenda i-tax le 90,000. It means naso submitela ama returns akho wena you will then be due a refund ya 10,000.
Okay, so when is that amount payable? Should it be before December? Ngibhadala nini le amount le?
It then depends on where you are, because we've got categories lang 3. Kunema dates lesiya isiwamemetele sithi labanye basubmita nga October, labanye basubmita nga November, labanye basubmita nga December. Siyawahlukanisa lama companies sitawumemetela. Ikakhulukade ukhanza ukuthi ema individuals tinkampani letincane, the small businesses, sole traders, kubhekeka ukuthi basubmite nga 31 October. Lokusho ukuthi by 31 October kufuna bese bayendile yonke le reconciliation yabo kuhlanganisa konke basubmit ama returns abo, and then that is when they will know how much tax is due or is actually due to them. And then individuals is 30 November bese kuthi ema companies lamakhulu kakhulu laphinze abe registered for VAT wona ngo 31 December.
Okay, so what then happens to taxpayers lokho nje ukuthi mhlambe sebakweleta sebanetikweleti letinkhulu kakhulu kende ke nkosi ukuthi mhlambe umvuvele angakhona ukubhadala ngalo December phinze futhi angakhona ukubhadala ngalo June. Niyatibona niwabona ma cases la kanjalo niyohandlisha kanjani?
We have seen those in the past, and we hope it will remain a thing of the past, because stawkumbula indona itemafaike yamemetela i-debt relief program. We don't believe it's going to happen again, because it's something let discouraged in tax administration ukuthi kutawuhle kucolelwana nje tikweleti ngoba bese kwenda ukuthi nalabanye lokufanele ngabe bayabhadala bese bacabanga ukuthi akufanele ukuthi babhadala. So it's one thing that we see happening ukuthi labanye batkhanza sebasetikweleti, which is why we always encourage them to ensure that they submit on time, they actually pay on time, and so that at the end of the day bangadotikhanza bakuleto tikweleti. But in any event labanye mhlawumbe bathi babona ukuthi ngendeka bangakhona ukubhadala, we will always say please ungahlali, come forward even before the situation gets worse, so that we can sit down and talk and understand where exactly is the problem. I think that is very, very critical than uti kanza encourage ama penalties.
Penalties, yes. Speaking of ama penalties, njengozi vele kuba malini penalty labaye bayibhadala nasabathi kanza nje sabasetikweleti letinkhulu kakhulu.
I think interest nangikhumbula kahle it's around 18%. And so it's very important that Emma business they comply, because if you don't comply, then you find yourself contending with those penalties. They are quite high. So that's why we always encourage comply.
Right. Is there any further action taken because ukulabo nje labantu solo bangabe compliant mpakhala ngekuthi vele solo good imali la endawo mhlambe sekuphela about 2-3 years asola ngakhona ibhadala? What further action is taken mhlambe le mvulo yenambopha nimfomelela lisamani kwendekani vele kahle ekhamba kwesikhathi?
Do you mean kuye umuntu urana leyo business but
Yes.
kude mhlawumbe la uthi kude imali la yakhako noma i-profit la yakhako? The critical bit here is that you must declare. I think people come up and say, business yami beyingasebenzi, so that's why I didn't submit my returns. But the reality is, how would we know? We will only know if you tell us. So that's important. Declare and tell us that you have not operated, or you have operated but you have made a loss. Because as I said earlier, tax you will only pay it if you are making profits. That's very important, particularly income tax. VAT becomes a bit different because we are collecting it from other people, so we'll expect that you actually remit that. So we then ubekisa ngakuthi kuyendeka lo muntu solo usubmita lawo ma losses noma ubukeka ngathi kude la contribute. We will always then start doing audits to check actually ukuthi lo loss bikela kona vele kuliqiniso noma kusiko. And we've discovered that some businesses, they would be under declaring certain things, and obviously umthetho uyazivumela ukuthi khona lokufuna sikwende kuloko, because it will be, in some instances it will be tantamount to tax evasion, so that is a criminal offense.
So kuba good nje lamanye ama payment plans mhlambe niwende nama taxpayers besides the debt relief program that the minister introduced.
My arrangements we always do. That's why I said earlier, please, in an event you are facing challenges, don't wait for us to discover, because it means you are willing to pay, but you're having challenges. Come forward, because once we discover ourselves, the assumption is that you've been hiding.
Okay. No, yeah, right. So I think last year at the beginning of this year, I introduced paperless payments. How's that going? I've been taxes.
Yes, I think all our tax payments are now done virtually. People go through banks, through mobile money and all other methods. We are no longer taking cash, so it's going pretty well.
Okay. So now ile provisional tax ngabe nje bayibhadala kanjani?
Yes, provisional tax sibheke ukuthi one they can go on e-tax, but you find that some still have challenges going on e-tax, particularly for e-provisional tax. Nalapho sithi just go on our website, download the form le provisional tax, complete it in terms of what you are projecting. You can email it to us, then we are able to upload it into the system for you. But then if there is money that you are supposed to pay as you submit that return. So now submit e-tax, you can still go to your banking platform or walk into the bank and make that payment, and then you send us that proof of payment.
Right. So the deadline is today for payment of provisional tax. Will there be an extension?
The deadline is today, as you've said. For provisional tax, there is never an extension because it's a date that is known. It's the 30th of June, it's 31st of December. So we've been reminding everyone, we've called many businesses to remind them that it is due. We have emailed them, we have sent them my SMSs, and we are here today to do the final reminder. Please, by end of business today, we really encourage that they do this a bit early. We really encourage that they do it early, so that in an event something happens, then they still have time to actually correct things and ensure that the submission and particularly the payment is done today.
All right, lastly, because your contact details ngabe natfolakala yini on social media, because bami labaningi mhlambe bakhona interact on social media nekuva nje ukuthi ngabe tincingo labanganishela kito ma WhatsApp niyatfolakala yini khona?
Yes, we do have our contact center, which is very active. Inombolo yethu 2464050. We also have a very active WhatsApp number. Bayakhona kusithenza lapho. Siyacela ukuthi bayisebenzise kakhulu. Labanye contacts sebanetinkinga tengena kubo e-tax and ma passwords mhlawumbe sibawakhohliwe noma bayihluleka kwa reset. Our WhatsApp number is 76063735 76063735.
All right, thank you so much, Ngozi Sibangakhulu kuba nathi namhla ekuseni mbukeli sokuthi vele today is the deadline for the payment of a provisional tax khona ka ERS kanti if nabu nembuto lofuna kuyibuta ungaba contacta on their WhatsApp number 76063735. Let's take a break, stop with a traffic update.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
Nene bekunene kusetandleni tesive kuthi imimango ingagcini kukampunzi edla emini sive sakangwane nebantu labakhethe kuhlala eSwatini abaphile ngekukhululeka nekuthi kubethe lo nyathelo lilungelo lalabanye egameni lekufuna lilungelo lakhe. Sive asikhumbule ukuthi emaphoyisa bomake nabobabe labatinikele kwenta siqiniseko ukuthi wonke umuntu lonembahla yakhe ingacekelwa phansi ngulomunye. Wonke umuntu akahlale ngekuthula nangaphandle kokwesaba tindwe letingatiwa. Emaphoyisa ngekulandzela nekushiqilela umthetho athi into yemuntu ayibe ngeyakhe umuntu. Sive asijinge siwabambise siphinde siwasekele emaphoyisa emsebentini wawo. Kude emalungelo aso sive osomabhizinisi kanye nebantu labasebentako anganyatheleki. Khona-ke imimango itawukwakha nemakhaya akhulise bantwana ngaso sandla lesiya emlonyeni. Emaphoyisa naso sive abasebente ngebudlelwane nangekubambisana kulwa nebucala netingoti temgwaqo.
Welcome back. Sakuvusela nawe losanza kusivulela kulesikhathi isidabuka simo semgwaqo na Sergeant Kule. Asikuvusela magababani lomhla ekuseni ngabe kuhambeka kanjani emgwaqweni?
Angivusele Thembeni ngivusele umbukeli welihlelo nasibuka simo selitulu ngaphandle. Siyakhanzela ukuthi awuliyahusha kakhulu edinzaweni letiphakeme kugcizelela nje kakhulu kubashayeli ukuthi asicaphelisise wena isiqiniseko sokuthi imotolo isesandleni sakho uyibambile ngalokuphelele sigweme kusebenzisa tintfo letingenda kokuthi mhlambe tithikamete noma ke tiphatamise umcondo wakho lophelele kulomsebenzi wekushayela kanti ke kulonye lihlangothi sijinge futhi sekwayise ukuthi nekupaka dona phela timotolo yenda siqiniseko sokuthi asipaki phasi tihlahla tingaze tilimale timotolo ngawe magala ladilikako ngawo umoya lomkhulu lokhona ke ngaphandle kanti ke emadolobheni ethu tibanete emgwaqo disebenta kahle umgwaqo wethu longsomhlelo road losuka khona lapha eTulo eCourt uye khona kubosandla solo uyakhiwa leyo mgwaqo loyo stop and go solo uphakanyisiwe lapho siniketana wona ke emathuba kugcizelela nje kakhulu bekunene ukuthi lelitubane asilehlise kulenzawana lapho kusetshenzwa khona senesiqiniseko sokuthi siyabahlonipha ikakhulu kati labo labalawula kona ke kuhamba kwetimotolo kanti ke na unjalo futhi na usuka lapha emhlaleni ubheka khona lapha indasi yenhlangano emgwaqweni wethu MR9 loyo mgwaqo loyo nayo solo uyalungiswa kukhona tinzawana njengalapha eTulu na uyofika kaHlathi lapho kuna stop and go lophakanyisiwe lapho imotolo tiyawuniketana emathuba kuhambe ke kuze kuyofika khona lapha indasi edolobheni lasenhlangano phasi isicanco lesilapha emathendele uze uyofika khona lapha kunaliya lisonto lema-Muslim nalapho ke ukhona stop and go lovuka ukhona ke namuhla imotolo tiyawuniketana emathuba nakuleyo ngcingwana leyo kanti ke na uphuma ubheka khona lapha kalavumisa uMR9 naloyo mgwaqo loyo solo uyakhiwa sisebenzisa wona ke umgwaqo lesivulele wona ke kwesikhashana lesingakugcizelela nje bekunene imisebenzi yelive solo iyachubeka sithi nje sichubeke emalangeni lamahle sishayele ngalokukhulu ukucophelela senesiqiniseko sokuthi lapho basilawula khona emaphoyisa siyawuthatha lokho ngokukhululeka nangekuthokota lokukhulu senesiqiniseko sokuthi siyahlonipha sihamba ngaleyo ndlela eyobe basilayela yona ukuthi singayisebenzisa kwesikhashana nekuveta ke malangeni lamahle ukuthi nabo bantwana bayabonakala emigwaqweni babheka ngakhona etikolweni njengoba kumakhata kunje bagcokile labanye sebagcoke kakhulu sekulukhuni nekuva umsindo wetimotolo wena ke mshayeli kwakho kwenda isiqiniseko sokuthi uyabanakisisa bantwana basasebenzisa wona ke umgwaqo ikakhulukazi etindzaweni lapho bewela khona ke umgwaqo asende isiqiniseko sokuthi ke siyabanakisisa nawe wena lohamba ngetinyawo losokhulile banake bantwana ubekwayise nalapho ubona khona ukuthi kungahle kube nayo ke ingoti sicela yona ke impela sonto asigcizelele bekunene ukuthi umthetho welive solo umile ukuthi leyo ushayela imotolo athethe lamandela zakusako kanjalo ke nakubo bafuyi sibakhuthathe ukuthi imfuyo abajinge bende njalo bayikhweshise emgwaqweni sitophepha sive semaswati kanti kulabo labalayisha sona sive siyagcizelela ukuthi imotolo adibe ngiletiphilile nathi siphile phela sizasebenzisa lethi imotolo senesiqiniseko sokuthi ke umthetho womgwaqo siyawulandzela ngalokuphelele nalokuyawena ukuthi siphephe sawusebenzisa umgwaqo siyabonga kakhulu infisele imini lenhle nelanga lelihle sachubeka nemsebenzi wenu naso sive semaswati sisifisele lona ilanga lelihle naleliphephile sisho njalo sithi kuphepha kwakho kuphepha kwami sibambisene sikanye kanye sawukhona kuvikela tona tingoti temgwaqo siyabonga kakhulu msakazi
Swakhulu kule kuseketalo yombiko was 5 minutes before 7 let's take a break nasibuya sibe netindzaba dala pha ekhaya desingisi
Phela makhaya inkosi nangabe phela udukhohliwe timpepa takho buye eceleni ubuye eceleni phela thina sijeke emsebentini awungeke phela ukhohlela le-ID nenombolo yokuvota lile basifakele yona phela la tincingweni ha ngibonini buye eceleni inkosi yathi ngijeke emsebentini kwani mina hayi wena msawumnye ngathi igaba lesithathu ihamba phela nkosi titsi nyalo sigaba sekuqala sasihamba yi-voter validation lapho khona sithi hamba uye emphakathi wangakini uyohlolisisa ukuthi le mininingwane lowayibhala ingiyo yini nendzawo lapho uvotela khona niyo kahle kahle nje sithi lapho nkosi hlolisisa imininingwane yakho nathi sibambisane ukuthi imininingwane yakho ibhaleke kahle yini nani hayi phela lokho kutawondeka lebo 22 June kuyale ku 12 July yebo bese ke sigaba lesilandzelako sey-nomination kosh lapho khona kubheka ukuthi ngenkundla inominate lokungenani bantu labacela ku-3 kuya ku-20 kuze ke umuntu anqonye kufuneka lokungenani abe namavoti langu-10 ngiyahleka yini mfana babe ngoba ngithi nje lekhaya selisendvo ngitawungena nje ngigijima nonyaka simfaka umuvu lokakake wasendela lutho asimfaka acele ama-project ngokuya aphuma ikosha yanti latindzawoni kulama communities thina sifayisana nema-problems mbamba sithi ngama-solution bamba yebo koshi hayi kahle phela benguye kulandzela yena mkhulu ngicela ufake yena yebo bekacele ukuthi ngimbambele kulandzela yena bese ke sigaba lesilandzelako senama-primary elections wona ke lama-primary elections atawondeka lebo 26 August 2023 phela koshi bese ke lokulandzelako senama-secondary elections lapho khona wona atawuthatha lebo 29 September 2023 ngiyahleka yini mfana babe ngoba lamkhathiseni kwama-primary nalama-secondary kutabe kune-campaign process lokusho ukuthi umntu ufuneka atitshengise ukuthi wakhiwe ngani setawufa amakabishi nani okulandzela mina ngiyabonga sisi
Lo mlayeto nolethelwa baka-EBC Elections and Boundaries Commission of Eswatini.
Eswatini Biggest Bride 2023 siyadla siyavungula mhla ka-8 July emavuso Trade Center kusukela nga-10 ekuseni kuyawulamla kusa ukhona Riz Madlisa Mharimbe Smooth the Drum DJ Fantasy Mapi Madamza Lady Z Mr. Kangaroo Anglicali Testo Zulu D Linda Dlamini ISCT DJ Kwani Ling100 emalangeni litikiti kuphela akhona ePizza Club and Grill wote nebhizinisi utothengisa imidlalo yebantwana ne-car spinning 2023 Eswatini Biggest Bride shaya manje ku-7684-7634 kuvakabandi uyilethelwa iphilani Maswati ibambisene nemsakato wakangwane
Love. Hey? So you have a woman on social media?
Khuleka sithando sami. I've put parental control on their devices.
Okay. How? What's wrong, Manjosip? Bendiwasona nje. Let's report this account.
Good morning and welcome back. This is the news at 7. The chairman of the Southern African Customs Union, SACU, His Majesty King Mswati III, has challenged member states of the organization to assess and reflect on challenges that confront it with an intention to find sustainable solutions. His Majesty was speaking when he officially opened the 8th SACU Summit of Heads of State or Government at Mandvula Grand Hall in Lozita. His Majesty reflected on positive developments that have been achieved by the organization since the Kingdom of Eswatini assumed its chairmanship. The official opening of the summit was graced by Amakhosikati to His Majesty the King and their Royal Highnesses.
His Majesty King Mswati III and SACU heads of state or government provided strategic guidance on the implementation of the SACU strategic plan, which presents a pathway that the organization will follow in the next 5 years. The strategic plan, which is centered on 6 pillars, comes at a critical time when efforts globally are being directed towards economic recovery following the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. It aims to position SACU as an industrial, investment, manufacturing and innovation hub for the continent and beyond. SACU leaders who participated in the summit were President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho, Sam Maketane, the Prime Minister of Namibia, Sarah Kukongela, representing President Hage Geingob, the Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry in Botswana, Mose Gafela, representing President Mohwesi Masisi, and the SACU Executive Secretary, Thabo Gasipe. His Majesty King Mswati III reflected on the impact that Eswatini has had on the organization since assuming the role of chairperson.
The importance of SACU cannot be overemphasized, as it plays a major role in development of our respective countries. We are pleased that we are here. We are currently experiencing positive developments in the collection of SACU receipts, which will contribute immensely to the social and economic development of our countries. As Eswatini, we are happy that during our chairmanship, all member states realized a windfall in our SACU receipts. We need to maintain these positive results and standards to increase the returns even more. The country's receipts increased by a significant share of 102% when compared to the previous year. It is the first time seeing such high returns. Contributing to this positive growth was the higher than projected outturn of the 2021-22 common revenue pool, together with the 25% increase in the projected size of the CRP for 2023-24 compared to 2022 to 2023 financial year.
The King says all member states have a role to play in the growth of the organization.
Your Excellencies, we are here to deliberate on key issues concerning SACU, with a view to providing the necessary political and strategic guidance to our institution. We have seen this organization grow from strength to strength moving in the right direction. As members, we have an obligation to nurture this child of ours, and where there are challenges, we need to sit down and find amicable solutions. This is particularly important at this time as SACU works on the implementation of its recently approved strategic plan 2022-2027 in the midst of the recent global developments, which are having a significant impact on our economies.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa says SACU should make formidable strides in the growth of trade in the whole of Africa.
This customs union should contribute to substantially increase African trade in goods and services. We will achieve this if we have clearly articulated programs, clearly articulated initiatives, if we have and utilize our resources, and we have a robust governance framework and a commitment to execute our strategic plan. And I do think we can live up to this if, as SACU, we continue to serve as an important instrument for deepening African economic integration, as we strive to develop our economies, as well as to advance mutual prosperity and leave no one behind in our region.
The Executive Secretary, Thabo Hasipe, said the organization has achieved significant progress since the adoption of its strategic plan last year.
The objective of this 8th summit is to receive a report from the Council of Ministers on the progress attained towards the implementation of the SACU strategic plan, which was approved by the Council and endorsed by the summit in June 2022. You will recall that the strategic plan prioritizes industrialization as SACU's overarching objective, which will be attained through the development of regional value chains, investment attraction, and export promotion.
His Majesty the King commended the African Leaders Initiative, which was led by President Cyril Ramaphosa to broker peace in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and said he was hopeful that the initiative will bring a solution. On the news, I am Sandile Makanya reporting from Mandvulo Grand Hall in Lozita.
The Kingdom of Lesotho will assume the role of SACU chairmanship from 15th July 2023. This was revealed at the official closing session of the 8th Summit of SACU Heads of State or Government by His Majesty King Mswati III at Mandvulo Grand Hall in Lozita.
His Majesty the King says the summit offered leaders an opportunity to discuss areas that the organization can tap into in order to achieve success.
We've had a very interesting program. I want to thank their excellencies and all the delegates who are here to participate in this very important summit. We've had a very fruitful discussions, and we've actually shaped the structure for the SACU. We've been in the right direction, and a lot of our people who are living within our member states are looking, all of us in this room, and they've put their faith on our shoulders, that we need to make their life much, much better. And with the discussions we've had here, we've covered a lot of things. We looked at things for the economy, how we can structure ourselves, position ourselves in a much, much better structure as a SACU. We look at how we continue to develop from leaps and bounds, attracting all sorts of investment in agriculture, in manufacturing, in ICT. We looked at promoting peace and stability within the SACU family. There have been a lot of things that we have touched upon. So I want to thank their excellencies, their contribution, because course, is very important.
The king says the next summit will be held in the Kingdom of Lesotho in June next year. The kingdom will assume the role of chairperson of the organization next month. Prime Minister Sam Maketane says Lesotho is ready for the challenge. On the news, I'm Sandile Makanya reporting from Manvulo Grand Hall in Lozita.
Members of Parliament have raised concerns on the processes of the 2023 general elections, especially the voter validation exercise, saying the Minister of Justice should reconsider the provision of voter cards. The MPs were speaking in Parliament on Thursday.
The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Kusile Shakantu, has tabled a ministerial statement in the House of Assembly, updating the Honourable House on the ongoing stages of the general elections. Members of Parliament then forwarded their concerns before the House.
Ngabe vele ukubuka kukahle iBhisilo ukuthi ngalinye laleli swati leli bhalisile alititelelo lamathupha lokudota ihlola. Umbuto ke uthi bangete bathumela yini.
This is a sign of technology in action. Uthi utawukhanza sekule. But sayini ke nasufika le awusekho. Sekude nalo lofuna kukusita sikwende njani?
Ngibani lo lotsite akushintshe kulendlela besenda ngayo idolo. Kubuyisele kunayilesha yetincingo. Mr. Speaker, le level sengakabi advanced kangako.
I-date sola akashintshi yama nomination. Uthi imhla 22. So letinkinga letindodla netindodla tetinkinga iyasondzela le date.
The minister then responded to the debate.
Libandla vele lingiphathise lokho speaker ngoba njengoba ngishito ukuthi lona ngumsebenzi welive and asibuyeli emuva, we are still progressing. Yebo kona kukhona labangaveli, but that is the whole purpose of the exercise validation. Ikona isemthethweni lenganiketa etfologcina kuko honorable speaker ukuthi as much as labanye bangaveli kule voters roll, kepha labantu bakhona kule electoral management system.
The House of Assembly then asked the Honourable Minister to update the House on the next sitting on the progress of the voter register validation process and give assurance to Eswatini that the 2023 general elections will be free and fair. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samgal Suekoza with Sikumbuzo Dlamini and Muzim Konta, Parliament.
The Minister of Labour and Social Security, Philip Telezi, says vocational schools equip students to be self-employed rather than seeking employment. The minister was talking during the graduation ceremony at Nhlangano Vocational Training and Rehabilitation Centre.
65 students have graduated at the Nhlangano Vocational Training and Rehabilitation Centre. Most of the students that were enrolled are living with disabilities. The Minister of Labour and Social Security, Philip Telezi, has spoke about the importance of vocational training in the country.
So imisebenzi ke lefana nalena le yenziwa la ekhaya kuleli college letemakhono etiko kuzama kukhicita emaswati le ngeke kumbe nasaphothulile agcine ngekufuna umsebenzi nemaswati letawukhona ukuthi atakhele wona umsebenzi kube sangazacasha nalamanye aphinza kube nendlela yokuthi afundzise nalamanye yona lemisebenzi kuzama ukwehlisa lezinga lekungacasheki kwaso sibe sengiyana. So umsebenzi nje lebesihlangene ngawo namhla umcwa kakhulu ukuthatha nakulabanye ekutheni asingabuke kusebenzela kuyocashwa asiyibuke imisebenzi lesingayenda ngetandla namakhono ethu lesinawo kuzama ukudiphilisa lele baphothulile nje namhla la nabaphuma kukhona imisebenzi abangasuka bayenda emakhaya. So siyakholwa ukuthi nesifunza lamakhono lebawakhonile ukuthi baphume nawo namhla batawuhamba bawasebenzise bakhona nekuwahlephula labanye etindzaweni lebakhekile.
The center manager Phindasi Hlongonyane has revealed the shortfalls they are still looking to improve from.
Challenges lakhona uyukhanze ukuthi kumbe sesiba nema shortage yabo training material endzaba yokuthi la umsebenzi wakhona mostly ku-practical. So kakhulu kuba ngile training material nekuthi ke kumbe labanye bafunzi bethu nasebacedzile bangakhoni lokuthi babe nale tinsita lengathi kumbe ma-startup kits letinsita letingakhona ukuthi kumbe bakhone kuti sebenta yena.
The Vocational Training Center offer courses such as sewing, carpentry, secretariat studies, to name a few. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Thando Mdluli, Hlangano.
The Elections and Boundaries Commission Chairman Prince Mhlaphlangene has assured the nation that the ongoing inspection and revision of the voter registration exercise is successfully going. The chairman has been speaking during a press meeting on Wednesday evening.
The inspection and revision of the voters register exercise commenced on the 22nd of June by the Elections and Boundaries Commission, EBC. The purpose of the inspection and revision of the voters register is to allow all Emaswati who register to vote to ensure that they are captured correctly and their personal details and polling information appears where they will vote and they appear in the final voter register roll. Addressing the press on Wednesday evening, Chairperson of the Commission, Prince Mhlaphlangene, assured the nation that the validation exercise is successfully ongoing.
This exercise, as a component of the starting of the registration, is equally important in the sense that this presents the opportunity now where the nation, together with ourselves as EBC, get to have the opportunity to ensure that the registration data for participating in the elections is captured and presented correctly. It is important to underscore the fact that being a validation exercise, it goes without saying that it is a validation with a view to eventually presenting the nation with a final voters register. Indeed, what we have right now is a preliminary voters register.
The validation exercise is expected to be completed on July 12, 2023. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samgal Suekoza, Ganini.
The UNFPA Eswatini Head of Office Margaret Twala says women and girls must have access to quality, essential sexual reproductive health services for the country to attain the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Twala has been speaking during the launch of the Eswatini Strategic Assessment on Unintended Pregnancies and Contraceptives.
The Minister of Health, in partnership with the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, last year conducted a survey on the unintended pregnancies and contraceptives. The study is being conducted in 8 other countries under UNFPA. On Thursday, UNFPA launched the findings of the study.
32% of them received information on how they could avoid future pregnancies. We only screened 28% of these women for STIs, and these are women at risk. They've had unprotected sex, and only 8% of them actually had initiation of contraception in the health facility.
UNFPA Eswatini Head of Office Margaret Twala said women and girls must have access to quality essential sexual reproductive health services.
What prompted us to be part of the 8 countries where the study has been done is because we found that based on the records that the country analyzes every quarter, abortion is number 3. And there are several reasons to why people end up aborting. One of which is because they do not have access to family planning or contraceptive services. So we thought that we needed to find out whether women do have issues or challenges or barriers in accessing family planning, and when they abort or when they end up losing their pregnancy because of abortion, do they have access to post-abortion care services?
Sexual reproductive health manager in the Ministry of Health, Kusile said the assessment revealed that there is a huge information gap amongst women in the society.
Umthelela lomkhulu wekuthi bantu bamithe bangakaconsi ngibona lokuthi bedele lo lwati abalwathi nokuthi batalithola kuphi lesinye isikhathi kulomuvo lobosho nglabantu abathi nokuthi batalithola kuphi futhi noma ngabe bayeva ukuthi likhona
bakhona ukufika khona. Recommendations of the study are to amend family planning policies in the country and equip healthcare workers on inclusive healthcare. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Siwekoza with Sikumbuzo Dlamini Esulwini.
In our sports news, we begin with the national team Sihlangu Samnikati that continue with preparations of the 2023 COSAFA Cup tournament that begins next month in the Republic of South Africa. National team coach Dominic Unene says it remains the team's biggest dream to reach the final of the tournament. Sihlangu is currently training at the Technical Center, Lobamba.
We begin our sports roundup with the national team Sihlangu Samnikati that continue with preparations of the 2023 COSAFA Cup that takes place next month. Head coach Dominic Unene believes it remains everyone's dream in the team to reach the final of the tournament for the very first time.
Githi imcoka kakhulu because nawubuka iperformance yethu kule tournament kubita lokho ukuthi sende kangcono because saphuma kuma semi kumakota uyabo siproducile bo man of the match sine top goal scorer so kukuyi pressure kwakhona lokho kubita ukuthi sifike 70 kamadima kule tournament.
Players Pilani Mkonvo and goalkeeper Sanda Nosemathabela are echoing the coach's words.
I believe ukuthi after lama bad result leswatfolile ku ama qualification AFCON so kumele siyothi redeem le COSAFA so I promise ukuthi sta spana smachit.
Ku challenge kithi because sike safika kuma semi-finals na PE. But ke game I think the players are ready, they can do it. Kukubonje ukuthi ba lift the spirit from le defeat lababuya kuyo ku talk. Otherwise they can do it. Abakwende PE basengakwende Durban.
The tournament begins on the 5th to the 16th of July this year in Durban in the Republic of South Africa. Sihlangu is in Group A alongside host nations South Africa, Namibia and Botswana. And in other news, the swimming national team continue with preparations of the World Aquatic Championship Games to be held in Japan next month. Team head coach Welcome Hlabatsi and swimmer Heidi Hoy are confident that the country will produce good results this year.
It's a project, and the project is skill. If you look at the kids as well selected, they're 16-year-old and 17-year-old. The oldest one, look at them smart, who's been there. But it's in the project.
We are currently training in Pretoria at Tix with Rocco Meiring. He's the national coach for South Africa. So we're definitely prepping. We're prepping really well for this. We're working hard. Okay. So we should see some good results. Definitely improve my times, obviously, but to break a national record perhaps in the 100-meter butterfly and the 50-meter, and that's all I can hope for at this point.
The games will begin on the 14th to the 30th of July in Fukuoka City in Japan. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbawane.
23 minutes after 7, we've come to the end of our news bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll be speaking to James Mabunza from EEC on electricity usage and load shedding. Asimenzele sinimukele sakuvusela nawo lo sanza kuzivulela besivedele ukuthi sita besikhulumisana nalabasuka Eswatini Electricity Company James Mabunza longu General Manager Customer Services takumeka ukuthi EEC ifuna ukuthi educate esiveza amaswati nge load shedding ukuthi ingabe i load shedding endiwelani nokuthi into lesingadenda sesive ukuthi si avoid takumeka ukuthi during the energy indaba which was held on Wednesday 24th May 2023 the Eswatini Electricity Company cautioned that it anticipates that a local power system will be severely strained and there is high likelihood for load shedding in winter. The MD Ernest Mkonda waveta ukuthi sive singakhazateki load shedding athi isadoma kancane kepha sitayiteka kabanti naye lapha babe James Mabunza kuva ukuthi ingabe vele mhlambe simsebenza kanjani ke siyintimbo lesimele sitende kuzama konga yena ke singathi kanza sive sesingena kubobo load shedding sikuvusele babe mabonza sibangakhona ukuthi ube nathi lo mhla ekseni. I think nje kungaba kuva nje i-overview ye power system le power system yalapha ekhaya Eswatini, is it strained? Ingabe vele mhlambe what role can we as the public play kuzama nje ukuthi sikhona ukumsebenzisa kahle gesi?
Yeah, no, siyabonga Thathwethu. Siyabonga nasesivene ama customer ethu. Asikusho vele ukuthi kulamalanga lawa abo June, July, August. Ngilapho khona sithola ukuthi i-system simudla kakhulu lo gas. Tizathu ke tinengi vele. Siyadzinga kushisa semandi emakhaya. Siyadzinga nangisemakhaya ngisho ukuthi domestic. Siyadzinga kushisa semandi isikhathi lesidze ngoba kuyabanza emagezi asheshe awabanzisela amande. So vele i-system yethu ibana nako lokwekhameka. Akusiyo ke le Eswatini kuphela. Nale system lapho khona simthenga khona lo gas, la simthenga khona kakhulu iyakhameka le system. So lesi kuba isikhathi lapho khona sikuthatha khona ukuthi siyacela ukuthi kakhulu lo lokusebenza kakhulu gas Thathwethu kuba ngilamagiza. Igiza nje siyabekisa ukuthi isebenzisa la kubo 3 kilowatts noma 3000 watts. Tinto ke tonke lisebenzisa gesi tiyabhalwa lokuthi lo gas lo setshenziswa kunganani. Kufanele ayina uyithenga yabhalwa ngaphandle ukuthi lona ngi 2000 watts. So nasibekisa nje sithi igiza isebenzisa 3 kilowatts. Kusho ukuthi lokho nakungaba nabantu labangi 10000 ngoba nje ngala Eswatini nje nasine ama customer la kubo 250,000 la domestic emakhaya. Nangeba nabantu labangi 10000 nje bacisha amagiza abo. Ngale tikhathi leti la khona le system yakhameka khona kakhulu. Singamonga gezi longetulu kwa 20,000 kilowatts, which is 20 megawatts. 20 megawatts. Ngachaza kancane lokho ukuthi kusho ukuthini. Kodwa ke ngicabanga ukuthi kwanyalo nje kulombuto lo ubutako. Yebo, i-system iyadzinga vele kusidwa. Nanathi ke njengemagezi khwale sikwendako, kodwa nema customer siyawacela lokuthi uma singabala nje into letimbili. Uma singathi njena kusukela nga6 ekseni kuze kube ngi9 nasingawacisha amagezi. Msombuluko kuze kube ngilesihlanu. Kuphindze kube ngo5 entsambama kuze kube ngi7 entsambama. Ngilethi khathi leto lapho khona sekhameka khona kakhulu kule system. Singenda ke lokuthi noma ngabe kune ma generators lengaleso sikhathi leso adzinga ku maintainwa kubo makhelwane la simthenga khona gas lomnengi kakhulu. So ukhanze ukuthi ke lo gas vele so unciphe kakhudlwane sekudinga ukuthi sale nanathi nangabe kude le generation yethu lekhona la vele. Nangabe kude ngoba siyayisibese siyasizama lokuthi siphakamisa yona. Nangabe kude yona ukhanze sibese mhlambe kudinga ukuthi bese sesiyacisha kancane lesikubita ngathi load shedding. Singakugwema vele lokho singaka-avoida. So lokukhulu kakhulu ngokuthi kufuna sibambisane. Uma nje singathi kuma customer ethu siyacela lokuthi ucishe nje igiza. Nalamalambu ke singawacisha ngaleso sikhathi kuleti ndzawo leti la singamsebenzisi khona lo gas. Kusukela nga6 ekseni kuze kube ngi9.
Ngasinje kuhlaba limi babe mabonza. I think ngibe nayo vele debate lene bamfla abaningi. Labanye bathi bona igiza abayicishe ngalokuthi kuyongo lokuthi ihlale i-on. But labanye bathi bona bayayicisha ngalokuthi yonga gezi nguphi ngicacile nje lapho vele. Yes.
Kusho ukuthi kahle igiza ine thermostat. I-thermostat ngalesilungu bengathi ibuka lokuthi lo gezi lamandi lala kuyo asashisa ngale sigaba lefuna shise ngaso yini. Kusho nje ukuthi mas thermostat lamanengi labana bawafaka bayaye bayisethe ukuthi ibe ku 55 degrees noma ku 60 degrees Celsius. Shothi ishisa kangako. Now noma ngabe kuthi kude umlo sebenzisa lo gezi lamandi angabanza kube ngaphasi kwalokho bese switcha on yathi switchela on yona so ngiko bese sithi ke lapsika ema customer ethu lamaningi khanze sakhala ngakuthi gezi uhamba kakhulu akusiko lokho uhamba kakhulu ngileti into lethi lokhanza ukuthi vele dona dahlale kubethi tati switcher on dona njengale giza kakhulu so igiza ukhanze ukuthi le giza ide naku lesiyayisithi iblanket angisho nangabe umbethe ingubo lokushisa akubuyi kule ngubo kubuya la kuwe ukuthi uyakonga bese ufa kuyashisa njengoba sigcokile nje so ngale giza isebenza kanjalo so ngiko siyayisithi ke sicela lokuthi vele uyicishe ngale tikhathi leti ngoba na ungayicishi na ugeza itavele tibiyelele yona kanzi noma ngabe igiza boyicishile akwendeki lokuthi bese imdonsa kakhulu gezi cha akwendeki lokutawendeka ngilokuthi nangabe ungakayicishi iphele ukuthi buyiselela yona bese ayabanza lamande iphinze ibuyiselele yona ngiloko lotawenda lokuthi le giza yakho imhle kakhulu logezi.
Okay. Ngifuna ukubuta nje indzaba ye load shedding babe emabonzi lokuthi ngabe vele mhlambe senicalile nivele ngisiko kuhle nisithi nje kuzivalela kancane. I think le indzaba nje la iveta nje MD kuyo le ndaba ukuthi nangabe kondeka asivalela gesi le load shedding kutaba bamvu kutaba semakhaya domestic installations ukuchazela nje lokho nje ukuthi ngabe senicalile nivele nekuthi itahamba kanjani mangabe isikhanza seka implement i load shedding.
Kulesikhashana lesincane lokuyaye kwenteke ngilokuthi siyaye sitshele bomakhelwane la simthenga khona gesi ngokuthi siyacela lokuthi ninciphise sibonile nje ukuthi kuyaye khanzi siqala ku stage 1 up to stage 6 akukake sekuye kulo stage 8 lesike sakhuluma ngaye ukuthi lebake bakhuluma ngaye ukuthi kungahle kwenteke kulamalanga lawa besingakake sesendi load shedding kodwa ke lesingakusho ngokuthi kuthi kuye kungendeka uma ngabe vele le system seyicinzetelekile ngiko lokuthi siyaye sithi ke uma ngabe thina sicela lokuthi sendele load shedding sinetaba nanasi lesitendako njengenkampani kodwa ke lokukhulu kakhulu la singamthola khona gesi kakhulu lokuthanciphe kakhulu ngilokuthi sisitane lokuthi wena njengel customer unciphise asengito ukuthi ke tsatsethu ngalesikhathi se 8 hour 1 minute okay ngesikhathi se 8 hour songa more than 10 megawatts uma ngabe kunema customer lang 5000 singamonga 5000 nje kuphela singamonga even 10 megawatts or 15 megawatts so nako lokumcoka kwekuthi uma ngabe singasitana kuloko lokhu singeke sikwende ngeke yendeke load shedding kungafane kwendeke ngesikhathi vele ukhanze usekude lesingakwenda yebo la singa niphisa khona kungaba vele nguleka domestic angifuna ukuthi emakhaya ngoba bacabathi ngishole ekithi enkambeni cha nalathe embelihle nasemadonza nasikhuluma ngasemakhaya sisho lokho ngoba tinkampani vele siyaye sikhweshe kude.
Okay, no ngiyavakala sibakhulu bamabunza manje sethemba ukuthi sidayichubekisela le conversation lena evikini lelitako bekasichazela nje isimo noma ke overview ye power system lapha ekhaya Eswatini lacela nje isiko ukuthi sive samaswati sinciphise kusebenzisa gesi kakhulu kade dikhathi lesingathi ngema peak hours between 5 to 7 entsambama kanjalo onasekuseni. Second break nasibuya side kade temidlalo.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. You know the vibes, it's the beat.
Welcome back to the program. As promised, when we started the show, we do have Fabrice Msonera just to talk about the delightful day for correctional services side Green Mamba. Let's see, Bonilege winner MTN PLE awards as captain. Mkolisi Mkondo was crowned player of the season, while coach Ernest Mavuso walked away with the coach of the season award. The duo were awarded 15,000 and 10,000 emalangeni respectively for their efforts at the glittering ceremony Nabebanjelwe Esibane Sami Hotel, while the club went home with $1 million emalangeni richer following their heroic season, past season. Fabrice, you were there as usual.
I like this. I like what you just did. I don't have to be here because that was quite an intro. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Fabrice. I learned from you. Fabrice, I know you were there. You're always there when such events take place.
Yeah.
Just talk to me about this special day.
What a day it was indeed. Remember that the other week from the regional awards, now ushering into this week, we were focusing on the MTN Premier League awards, and like you highlighted in your intro, Green Mamba winning big, the champions, player of the season, player of the tournament. We're not counting also some of the smallest, player of the month that some of the players managed to walk away. But what a day it was. Present during the ceremony was very, very high-profile dignitaries within the football fraternity and sports fraternity at large, including the FA president, Peter Samoras Melane, Premier League executive. I want us to go through what they were saying during the event, but there's no better way to do that. Let's listen to them first, because it was President Peter Simelane highlighting how the season was, and then acting chairperson on the day of the Premier League of Eswatini, Polycarp Lamine. Let's just listen to them, what they had to say. When we come back, we'll just recap on their speeches.
Therefore, might have been varying challenges, but as the chairman collaborated with his executive committee, the board of governors and staff, they have managed to pull through successfully. The culmination to the conclusion of the 2022-2023 MTN Premier League was vaccinating. There were fierce contenders through the full length of the league, making every round of matches a must-watch. Well, we have convened here for the decoration of those who excelled. Thus, we would like to cheer the winners of the various prizes at stake. A special congratulatory expression goes to the champions of the two leagues, Green Mamba FC for the Premier League and Rangers for the National First Division League. We, of course, salute the fierce competition that was posed by all the other clubs in the two divisions. In such occasion, we most often ignore the crucial roles played by the competitions committee, football clubs, leaders and administrators, coaches, referees and spectators, all of whom expended their energies towards the accomplishment of the league. To our colleagues at the Premier League, there is no much time to rest with the new season just around the corner. The Football Association hopes, through concerted efforts from members of the league, staff and all affected stakeholders, the football family is hoping to see an even better league in the forthcoming season. As I conclude my speech, I recognize the crucial function that has been played by the media in marketing matches and events from the start to the end of the leagues. We further encourage their contribution for the improvement of the leagues and football in general, even in the forthcoming season. Finally, MTN, we salute and cherish your investment in football. Best wishes to the rest of the businesses. I thank you. God bless you all.
Our conduct during our matches has been embarrassing. The use of muti in our matches that led to our banning club officials is one aspect we are committed on improving in the upcoming season. We are ashamed of the violence that
that reared its ugly head several times during our games. We call upon all soccer-loving fans and club supporters to please exercise self-control and learn to accept the decisions of the referees that go against their teams. We have engaged IFA to look into the performance of referees, and we are happy that referee workshops are already in progress to address shortcomings from the match officials. Maybe ngalapha President ungathatha lithuba nje lokuthi kumthandazo wethu siphile ukuthi one day we have a soccer indaba whereby sitawukhona nje sisikhulume ngale bhola, and I think naloko kungayibambisa i-FA to improve the performance of the national.
Yeah, we just heard sentiments from Peter Similano, who is the FA president, as well as a board member of PLE, Polycarp Dlamini. Just sharing their sentiments. Fabrice, I think the highlights from the FA president, he is, wishing for an even better league in the upcoming season. Of course, highlighting how great this league has been. Speaking on the upcoming season, hoping for a better one, as well as thanking the media for their role that they play in improving the league. And I assume he's thanking you guys, the likes of Fabrice, Patizwe, Linda Master Dlamini. I will thank the ones from my media house myself.
And we got the award as one of the best media houses.
Is it?
Yeah, so yeah, we deserve that. But to highlight on that, not to catch you, but to highlight on what you just said, which I understand, they're the motherboard. FA, they just cut across to say what a season was, what a commitment it was. The league to be decided on the last day of the season. It has an effect positively on the National Football Association because that's their main interest. But I like on how deeper the executive member of the PLE, who on the day was the chairperson.
We'll get on Polly. We'll get on Polly, but I want you to give me, before we get, because that brings the criticism aspect of it all. But this was a day of celebration.
True.
A day of delight.
True.
I want us to bring focus to that before we will get to that. Talk to me about the season.
It was one of the best seasons. I don't want to lie to you. It was one of the good seasons that we've had so far. Actually, I think on countless occasions, I highlighted on how we were one of the countries in the region where the season was decided in the last minutes of the tournament, which brings to the excitement to say we can't really say a team can walk into the season and say I've deserved to win it. Heading to 2023-2024, now you can count about 5 teams that have got a chance. The defending champions, Green Mamba, Young Buffaloes, you've got Highlanders, Swallows, you've got also Red Leopards, including some of these teams, Singers in Hospitals. They show that if really they can, add new faces and just improve on some of the departments within the club, they can really work hard. It was one of the great seasons. Green Mamba, they deserve it. In terms of the awards, I'm happy with how the categories have been distinguished, be it player of the season, be it coach of the season. So for me, within the last 10 years, this was one of the best.
Getting into the categories, and I'm happy that you ended your remarks there with the categories. Let's get into some of the winners, maybe let's say the notable winners. Of course, player of the season, Golis.
He deserves it. He was the captain of the team. You look at the assist in terms of how he helped his team, the conduct within the team, he was remarkable. I think you want to say, if you look at Junior Magagura, the previous seasons, the Royal Leopard defender, this season, Mkolis was quite different in terms of how he was doing things. I think for me, he was the Kevin De Bruyne of the Premier League this season. And in his excitement, he also believes that his transfers, his link to other clubs internationally, where he's been trying his taste at Royal in KwaZulu-Natal and Durban, also has been based on how he performed this season. So he deserves that, the captain and everything, the leader of the club, and then at the national team level also has got an impact he's playing. He deserves no argument about that.
And there is holding that 15,000 Malangani check with the trophy. He gets a trophy with the check?
Yeah, I think he gets the fact that the trophy is the trophy of being the player of the season. That's
the check, of course,
but,
is the incentive.
We can't really, not to touch on the sponsor. I think we need to grow as a country. MTN is doing a fantastic job. There's no arguments about that.
In terms of the prize money?
Fantastic job, yeah. That's what we can afford as a country. But if we really were talking about professionalizing football, this guy should be walking around with 50K.
Fabrice, top goal scorer Felix Badenhorst. I mean, if we're going to talk about prolific players and proving that season in and season out, this guy has had quite the career already, and he's still playing, and he's playing at a high level. For him to win top goal scorer, and for us growing up knowing there's a guy called Felix who scores goals, and he's still doing it. Talk to me about this guy. Did he really, you know, have an amazing season? Does it
Beautiful
translate?
season, 20 goals, especially in the first round of the season. And for me, being a top scorer, 20 goals, and you're not even the champion, it shows how the league was competitive. His team finished third, but he finished as the top scorer. In that interview, he was actually telling me on how he had a good preseason, which helped him. He walked away with 9,000 as the top scorer. He had a good preseason. Preseason is trying to make sure that when you kickstart the season, you are on a good track. So for me, that was really quite fascinating. He deserves it. He was one of the good players of the season.
And of course, the man that has shared some of the most emotional speeches following the win and the clinching of the MTN PLE, season, Coach Ernest Mavuso. What a season for Mavuso and the squad.
One of the best and humbled coach in the land.
Yeah.
I think I've seen him struggling at some point with other clubs, but how he ended up growing. Talk about him at Moneni Pirates, talk about him at Mabane Highlanders, talk about him at Denver Sounders when it was formerly known as Mamelodi Sundowns. He actually, in his speech, I once said, "It's your first time winning the league." And then you know what he said? He said, "It's my first time winning the league." But if you look at how many players I've helped in the country to end up winning the league, it helps him to say he's made an impact. He was actually saying that they have started also preparations for the CAF competitions by virtue of being the champions. Obviously, they're in CAF Champions League. So I think he gives me that notable, admirer to say we've got local coaches who can achieve at the highest level. I think he played beautiful football. He impacted the league notably.
And of course, there were other categories like goalkeeper of the season in Mlungisi Ngumalo from Young Buffaloes.
Upcoming, sorry to cut you, upcoming really a good goalkeeper because, not really, but when I say upcoming, we remember the previous seasons, when you talk about the Young Buffaloes, we used to Tlhatlagwebo as their main captain. So there were change of things this season. It was his first season, but I think the young man impressed everyone. He had a beautiful season, helping the team to finish second. I mean,
he's a Ngumalo at the end of the day, so I'm not shocked. You know, those people tend to excel in life. He walked away with the 9,000 Malangani check. It was a pro of the season in Frank Hurube, Royal Leopard, with the 5,000 Malangani check. There was a Fair Play Award as well, which was given to Royal Leopard. But there was also the MTN National First Division, Fabrice, which also got a bit of spotlight on this very much important day. Player of the Year in Mfanasibili Gunene, Rangers, 9,000 Malangani.
Yeah, quite impressive, and I think coming to the Premier League, actually, I was having one-on-one with him saying that, you know what, just be on standby because clubs will come knocking and requesting for your services. And then I think he was prolific. If anything is to go by, I'm hoping that maybe by the time the season kickstarts, you know, some of the clubs would want to get him and sign him. So I think he was a prolific star. He helped his team to win the league and to be promoted in the Premier League. So what a season it was for him.
Yeah, and of course, just highlighting some of the other winners. Before we move on to Polycarp sentiments, Fabrice, there was a coach of the season, which was Tunzi Gininza from Rangers, pro of the season, Tempingosi.
Talk about Gininza Mtunzi. I think I've got so much, passion about this coach because he's not a new coach in the Premier League, within the corridors of the Premier League because majority will remember his services at Manzini Wanderers, other clubs he's coached with as well. I think coming back to the Premier League, he's quite experienced. He knows what Premier League is about. And remember, when Rangers were relegated in 2021, 2022, he left with the team down. And then he's going back again with the team. So it tells you everything about this guy.
Rangers winning big in the MTN National First Division, Fabrice, but top goal scorer. Just like, the MTN PLE, having a team dominating in Green Mamba, but having a top goal scorer coming from a different team. Top goal scorer in the MTN National First Division in Tabisos Tole. Hlatikulu Tycoons scored Namandla Ishiselweni. He got 6,000 Malangeni. What a scorer.
What a scorer. And then I think I'm still touching on the difference. Like I highlighted earlier on to say, don't talk about the sponsor. They're just spending money. It's good, but as we grow as a country, we need to improve that because if you're talking about a top scorer at the National First Division level, someone who's now being promoted, he deserves at least 20,000.
And I think the most important award on the night, Fabrice, at least for me, best electronic media for Eswatini TV, without a doubt. If we have you sitting there right now, speaking about football the way that you do, we have Patizo sometimes, we have Linda Master, you know, Demidlalo programs. It's quite a lot. We do quite, do our best in informing the public about sports. And Fabrice, you can just talk to me about the passion around you guys as the sports department, as the sports team in the news department.
It's a day-to-day business, Mguni, because if you look at how we live, as actually, I was actually talking to one of the Zambian sports reporter who won the regional sports awards by the name of Mlelwa. She's based in Zambia. Say, right. Fabrice, you need to understand that, and I've come to understand that once you're a sports reporter, there's what we call day in and day out during the weekend. You don't have a weekend movement because for us it's when the business really is attracted to is as attractive. You talk about leagues, Premier League, be it at football level. You talk about cricket. You talk about swimming. Everything that takes center stage mostly it's a weekend. So you have to tell yourself, even if you're a family man, your family needs to understand that Friday to Sunday, I have to be busy. Right. And it's a lifestyle you end up adopting. Yes, there's activities in your midweek, but if you really want to dwell in the sports industry, and yet, remember, we're not yet a country where sports is at a professional level. So a majority of the sporting activities, they take part during the week. So it's a fantastic journey. And I think for me, now it's been 14 years since 2009 as a sports reporter. I cannot really speak about the others, but it's almost the same duration with Lina Massa and Patricia, but almost 14 years in the industry. So you get to understand that, be it when you are going internationally, be it when you're locally, how do you handle the situation? Right. But what a field it is.
You guys are doing an amazing job. Doing a great job, I must say. And of course, speaking of the other sports, taekwondo and swimming are doing quite well in Eswatini. Without even talking about that, but we saw them nominated at the awards, the Rasa, where you were there interviewing people on the red carpet. Fabrice, Polycarp Dlamini, his sentiments, and I love what he's doing because it is very important to take some of losses that you have and taking them as lessons. And we heard him speak about the use of muti, calling it embarrassing from the previous season. He speaks about being ashamed of the violence that we saw happen several times, as well as him urging civility in the coming season. Talk to me about the use of muti and, him being ashamed of the violence. These numbers, do we see it lowering or are we seeing it grow with every season?
I tell you what, I think there is no way. I always tell people that when you talk about culture, we can talk about it as Maswati to say umotsi now, but there's no way you can go to FIFA and say you want to debate about the issue of what the FIFA used the word foreign substance in the field of play. There's no way you can say Nhliwe because there was a presence of foreign substance. Right. But for us, we made it a culture to believe that a foreign substance can make me lose. There's no argument about that. But I think what Polycarp is trying to drive is that, yes, president came out, painted a good picture. It was a good season. MTN sponsor CEO, Mr. Wandile Mchari says, it's a good season. We keep on putting in money. But let's get to the ugly size of business. The fans fighting every day. There's, in terms of charges, there's, deductions in terms of what they bring to the stadium. Let's try to improve. At some point, I think, if you listen more to the interview, it says we should have a sport indaba with fans, executive, everyone come together to say, you are wrong, let's not do this. Some of the well-known faces in the football industries are pulling out of the football fraternity because of these issues. To say, you, Mguni, not to say you do that. You, Mguni, you are the new chairman of this type of club. Now you are pushing me away because you are using muti. Now the muti now is no more applying in the field of play. It's within the corridors of the management of the club. So it's saying we just need to stop this mentality and put the football on the ground because it is there. We cannot avoid it. It is there. Clubs are doing that. Sometimes if you listen to some of the well-known faces in the industry, they tell you which club that uses muti the most, which club that is weak when it comes to muti.
And that's not just unique to Eswatini. We see it in South Africa and a lot of other countries.
But FIFA tells you, you can't tell me that udliwe because there was a foreign substance. No, there's nothing like that. But discipline in terms of how the referees also, conducted themselves, I think he touched on it to say there is an investigation that is ongoing to ensure that when you come to the next season, the referees have to conduct themselves accordingly. And in terms of their judgment, we should get the right call.
Certainly looking forward to a better season next season. Thank you so much, Fabrice, for joining us this morning and being eloquent in your submissions with regards to the MTN Premier League as well as the awards themselves. There was Fabrice Msonera just, giving us his sentiments on the awards and the season itself. We do hope that in Polycarp's sentiments, we will see a better season next season. Singaboni porafela abagijinyiswa abadlali enkundleni sibahlola imarket nasibuya sichubeka nehlelo.
Are they yours?
Ngabukela ke washa umkhukhu every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Welcome back. It's 2 minutes before 8 o'clock. So speaking of Petseloni, thank you so much for joining us. You can also watch the show, this episode of the show on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, Eswatini TV News. We'll see you on Monday in Salakahle.